Okay, so when I completed school, usually, so I completed in 2013, so 6 years, 7 years, sorry. So 2006 to 2013, and then I had to come back to Ghana. And then when I came back to Ghana, we had to write some local exams to have like a license to practice as a Ghanaian, not as a Ukrainian, you know. So we wrote exams and then off we go. So after that, we had 2 years training. Usually it's called housemanship training or internship. And then after that, you can decide to, after that you have like the rest of the years to decide what to do. So 2 years is government practice. After that, I moved from government practice strictly to private practice because I had a lot of aspirations that I wanted to, you know, pursue. So yeah. So after the housemanship, I moved from the government practice to the private practice where I was based in Accra. Basically, I spent the rest of my private practice in Accra. So I work in a lot of private hospitals. I was a medical director in some private hospitals in Ghana for 7 years. Between the space of when I moved to private practice, and whilst I was still, you know, whilst I was still a medical director, you know, in some of the private hospitals, I wanted to have my own practice as well. But during the practice, I realized that there were a lot of challenges, you know, with the patients. So when it comes to financing, when it comes to you know, childcare and all that. So I would literally use most of my practice after my private practice. I used most of my salary to take care of most of the clients because most of them couldn't afford you know, some of these basic amenities for their health. So that's what it hit me, that I needed to have a foundation as well, to where we can, you know, pay bills for individuals who can afford. Because we've had people who just died not because they needed to die, because they didn't have money. Exactly. So that was one of the challenges. One of the challenges. And the other challenge was that we also realized that the aged were isolated. They were not in the books at all. They were stigmatized. So they would stay home and they would not receive any care. They were sick. They would just stay home until they die. So then again, most of my salary would go to the aged, and then most of the salary was going to those who come to the hospital. I mean, those are all taken care of. I have to buy them their medications and all that. So along the journey, I came across a Denmark school that was doing an exchange program. So they were also into aged care. So I mean, along the way, I think once you are pursuing aspirations, things just naturally align. Then, as I said, that because I come from a strong Christian background, I think there are lots of the grace of God is really at work for me personally, and I believed in taking care of the poor, because once you give the poor, you are lending to God. So that was one of the things that I was always conscious of, and I walked in, and I was always blessed, even more than what I would give out, you know. So I came across this Denmark opportunity. So the students would come through my hospital, and then we'll raise some funds, because they also were pursuing the aged care course. As part of their curriculum, they're supposed to do one of their practices in Africa, in one African country. So I mean, I had opportunity to have met them, yes. So we had like different students coming from Denmark, and then we raise money. We go into the communities, you know, outside Accra, in Accra as well, and outside Accra, we raise money to take care of the aged, because especially those who were isolated and didn't have any form of money to take on themselves. And I think that was one of the best inspiration for me, and I've been at it till now. So during my private practice, that was from 2017 till now. I had not yet started my hospital. It started 2020. So then, during the private, as I said, I encountered a lot of issues financial issues with a lot of clients. So I'd had to use my own money to pay. So in order to, make more money, and also, of course, I had to start my hospital in the car. So then I would have mobile equipment, and have my medications in the boot. So usually when you sit in the car is full of medications. It's like a pharmacy. Everybody sits in the car. Everybody who sits in the car is just smelling of medications. Yes, and they didn't understand the vision with which I was running with. So I was like, oh, don't worry, yeah, doctor's car. So that is how it started for me. So whilst I was at it, and then pursuing my aspirations, so I started the hospital in the car because I didn't have money to get a building and all that, So, and then came the home care services. Most people would subscribe to it because with time people would make references. Oh, it's a good doctor, and all that. So I would get a lot of clients, so home care clients. So with that, I would work like around the clock into the night, saving to be able to afford like a building and then sort of my own clinic, and as well as make money to also take care of the aged and then those who could not afford for their bills. And then along that way, God being so gracious, I came across the Denmark students who were also looking for someone who was into that kind of service, taking care of the aged. Their focus was the aged. So in my mind, when I came across them, I think we had a few chats, and then we had they even had their teachers. The government sent some of their teachers to come and check some few things in Ghana with me to make sure that we can build an alliance so that we can properly and expand that vision in taking care of the aged. Yes, so that went on for, so me meeting them, and then we being able to raise enough money, and most of them had to even cry because some of the condition was an eyesore, honestly. So I think one of the situations we had was some of them had like very bad bed sores, legs swollen. They're in there in the house. They can't come out because there's nobody wants to get close to them. Somebody had a urinary catheter. Usually they put a tube in the gland, and it was there for like 10 years because he couldn't go to the hospital, and it was rotten. So we had to take it out and raise some money to take care of him. I mean, unfortunately, some of them died. At that age, yes. So we having these turns, we having these cycles with a student coming, I realized that I needed to. This was what I actually wanted to do. So this pushed me to set up my foundation officially, so that I can focus on this area and expand it, and also let the world know what it is like and what I'm doing as a doctor, and where I started from and why I'm pursuing this vision. So I feel we are there I feel that one of my statements I always say that the journey of success is finding a human need and fulfilling it. For me, that is my hallmark. So when you go to my website, my foundational website, you see that's the first thing. So for finding a human need and fulfilling it, and that is true success. For me, yes. If I would have to go back in time, what would I have to do differently with my educational background? I think I would still want to be a doctor, because then again, I said from the beginning that I come from a strong Christian background. So it was a prophecy before I was even born. So if I had a chance again, and then of course I've seen the fulfillment, and I think that success, definition of success, then again has to do with fulfillment. So if I had a chance to go back in time as far as my education is concerned, I always want to be a doctor. Not because of the money, but because I want to save lives, and I'm saving lives. I just want to see lives saved, everybody happy, leaving the hospital, yes. So yeah, saving lives is priority. So 2 unforgettable moments in my life. I don't know what I should. Okay, so let me start with the sad one. The sad one has to do with a client who died because she didn't have money. I wasn't taking care of her because nobody was willing to. They didn't have money, came in very sick. Nobody was ready to use their money to start treatment. And I think that was really sad. And usually when it happens like that, they are sidelined, and you are left to your, you are left to your fate. Yes, I think one of those saddest moments, and I think there are a lot of moments like that where we see, sad thing. I think that's one of the saddest. And I think one of my happiest moments was, I think my first one happy was when a client bought me a Rolex watch. Yes, I think that was amazing. I think the client did well. I think I loved it. It was amazing. That was like, was really cool.